People ask me this all the time. If I wait long enough, does the IRS debt disappear? The answer is yes, and also no. And the gap between those two answers has cost people more money than almost any other tax mistake I see. There is a real expiration date on IRS debt. The law calls it the Collection Statute Expiration Date, or CSED. The IRS has 10 years to collect a tax debt. After 10 years, the debt legally dies. They write it off, you owe nothing. So waiting it out works, right? This is where people get burned. The 10-year clock is not as simple as it sounds, and the IRS is not going to remind you when it runs out. Let me explain the clock the right way. The 10 years does not start when the tax year ends. It starts on the date the tax is assessed. Assessment is when the IRS officially records the debt. For a normal return, assessment happens a few weeks after you file. So a 2018 tax debt might not start its clock until mid-2019, or even later if you filed late. This matters. People count from the wrong date and think they are years closer to freedom than they are. Now, here is the part the waited out crowd never mentions. The clock pauses. The IRS calls it tolling. Certain actions stop the 10-year timer, and the pause time gets added to the end. Here is what pauses your clock. Filing bankruptcy pauses it. The whole time your bankruptcy case is open, plus 6 months after, the clock stops. Filing an offer in compromise pauses it. The entire time the IRS reviews your offer, the clock stops, plus 30 days.
Requesting a collection due process hearing pauses it. While appeals reviews your case, the clock stops. Filing certain requests for innocent spouse relief pauses it. Living outside the United States for 6 months or more pauses it. So, picture someone who tried a few things over the years. They filed an offer and it got rejected. Later, they requested a hearing. Perhaps they spent a year abroad. Each of those moves added months to their 10-year clock. The debt they thought would expire in 2026 now expires in 2028 or later. This is why waiting out the IRS as a strategy is dangerous. You almost never know your true CSED without pulling your IRS account transcripts and reading them line by line. Guessing is how people get it wrong by years. Now, here is the other half of the danger. Even if your debt truly is close to expiring, the IRS does not go quiet while you wait. They have 10 years, and they use them. During those years, the IRS files a federal tax lien against everything you own. They levy your bank account. They garnish your wages. They take your tax refunds every single year. Waiting does not mean peace. It means living under collection pressure the whole time. And the damage compounds. Penalties and interest keep stacking the entire time the debt is alive. The failure to pay penalty grows. Interest compounds daily. A debt you tried to outlast quietly doubles while you wait. If the IRS collects even part of it through levies before the clock runs out, you lost the money for nothing. There is one more trap. In rare cases, the IRS sues to reduce a debt to a court judgment before the CSED hits. A judgment extends their collection power well beyond the normal 10 years. They save this for large balances, but it exists. So let me give you the honest strategy. First, find your real CSED. Get your account transcripts from the IRS for every year you owe. The transcripts show the assessment date and the codes for anything which paused your clock. A professional reads these fast, but you have the right to pull them yourself for free. Second, once you know your true expiration dates, you have real information to plan with. If a debt genuinely expires in 8 months and the IRS is not actively levying you, sometimes the smart move is to stay compliant, avoid anything which pauses the clock, and let it expire. This is a real strategy, but only when you know the date. Third, if expiration is years away, do not wait. Waiting only feeds penalties and interest. Look at a payment plan, currently not collectible status, and offering compromise or penalty relief. Solve it instead of bleeding. Here is the bottom line. Yes, IRS debt expires. The 10-year rule is real, but the clock starts later than you think, pauses more than you know, and the IRS keeps hitting you the whole time it runs. Waiting out the IRS is not a plan.
Knowing your exact CSED is. Pull your transcripts, learn your real dates, and make a decision based on facts instead of hope.